right, let's get started. Today I am reviewing the what is commonly referred to as a KO or Counterfeit Optimus Prime in the box, and comparing it to an OG pre-rub Optimus Prime from about 1984, if not a little earlier. Super excited to do this for you guys. I've been planning this for a while and want to help people out to highlight ways to identify counterfeit made in China, Transformers. Plan to do quite a few of these as I go through and get my collection up and running and get boxes and then order these counterfeits like this one. This one is very common on eBay. You can get it from a couple vendors. This is the guy that's out of San Francisco, well, person rather. But yeah, let's get started here. Going to start off with doing a comparison of the box and then move into the foam, move into the bots themselves, their accessories, etc. So let's go ahead and get this box opened up. I'm going to go ahead and remove this guy to the side and get this going. So one of the first things that you'll notice is the color differences between these two guys. So if you'll notice here, I move this over and see that there's a color difference here. This is a reddish brown compared to the red of the original. A lot of people will look at the starbursts on these, but they are getting better at reproducing these starbursts. One thing you'll notice is the orange red here on the top of the box compared to a little bit different. This might be a little bit faded. I mean, this is 40 plus years old. Obviously the Optimus Prime part here is a little different when compared to this one here. The other thing you might notice is up here at the or down here at the bottom rather, it just simply says include snap-on weapons and accessories. I've not looked at every single version of this toy when it comes to the originals, but you'll notice on the original, even though mine's all torn up and you can look online, is that it says ages either 5 or 6, and it's only 5 or 6. There is no other number, but it says ages. On this one it's probably 5 and up, and then it says include snap-on weapons and accessories. One of the first telltale signs of a counterfeit box is this gray bar right here. Everybody will tell you to look and very carefully look and compare the gray bars on all the G1 Transformers. On this one, you can see this one here is there, and on this one, it's not. Now, I'm sure somebody can go in here and cut this and try to make it look right. I mean, that's a lot of work. But yeah, the E5796 is present on both of these, as you can tell right there. Get that back in focus right there. Yeah, so that is the front of the box. You'll notice, and I'll show you in a second, Prime's gun here. I will show you in the accessories, even though it's on both, this is not the way Prime's gun looks on the accessories. But let's take a look. You can see on the very top, I know it's kind of shading a little bit, but you can see the red once again, the nice red. This is a TM box up here on the flap. My box obviously is a little worn. I had to buy another Prime and put this together, but this is in one of the early TM boxes. And you may also hear people talk about the error boxes. So what the error box is if you look here, see how this is cut off right here on the graphic right underneath? Well, the error box for his antenna off of the thing inside the trailer, it actually comes up here and shows right there. So if you ever see one of those with a TM at the top up here, I gotta back it up a little bit. If you ever see it with a TM up here, that is an error box. That's an early 84, 83, somewhere in there box. But comparing it to this one, obviously it's down a little bit further, and that's something that you got to look for, is that a lot of the scans that they use to print this box, they had to smash it in. And one of the things that I found a little bit later here is that the box is actually the original, if you can tell, is longer. It's flush on the left, but here in the right it is longer. Even though you'll see in a minute, the foam is identical in size. So not sure why they chose to do that. I mean, it's not, rulers, I know they're made in China and they're not cheap. So, or, I mean, they are cheap. So, I don't understand why they just couldn't simply measure the box. Anyway, again, this is an R box. Here is the top up there. And one thing you will notice also on these boxes, these are slicker, they're shinier, as you can tell from the glare on this one. There is it's a very different glare. This box has a little more of a rougher touch to it, whereas this one's extremely slick, if you will. So, yeah, it's interesting. While, these are in the box, if it's sealed, what you'll notice here is that there is a gray bar. There is a factory applied decal here. Just like this is here, factory applied. Here, the factory gray on the trailer, like it is on this one, is missing right there. So, anyway, moving on. So we'll look at the side. Again, what you'll notice is, I mean, they are really identical in the width and the height, the dimension or the depth dimension, they are the same, but the colors are different. The original, you got a nice red, red color. Here you have that blown out color. The grids are very, very similar. This is more of a gray. This is a kind of a muted, grayish white. This is a light white, but this is a muted, and I think you'll see that on these as well. They did a really good job. While the colors are a different shade of red, it does make a difference on the grid on these as well. You'll notice some of these, the grid is completely different color on some of these reprints and these counterfeits. So yeah, moving to the back. Again, this is a very shiny background. So what I wanted to highlight on the back is the proof of purchase is still the same here. Still has the exact same numbers, ends in 05796. Says proof of purchase on it. What you'll notice if you look is that on the original here, actually you can't see it. Ravage, let me back these up again. Ravage, he's completely in frame here, and on this one, he is not. They cut him off. Poor doggy. That's unfortunate. Same thing for this right here. I'm not entirely sure what this is supposed to be here, but if you look on this one, the image is it has more to it. His fist is relatively the same. Can't really make out real clear whether or not this is spaced right. One thing you'll notice here, and this may be different from some of the later boxes, but you'll see here it says Hasbro Bradley, 1984, Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and where this original one just says Hasbro. 1984 Hasbro, there is no black box around it, etc. So yeah, you can look at that. The Autobot points is a kind of an orangish color to it. I do believe, I'd have to look later, but I do believe even though the tech spec description here is it's a different font, it's more precise. I don't know if I haven't really read it. I looked at it a little bit. It looks about the same, but yeah, there isn't any spelling or grammatical errors or anything like that I could tell. It's very close. So, but yeah, and then on the other side, you will see that the wing of a Seeker right here. You can see the wing and whatnot. Here, you can tell that it's cut off. So you can sit there and look at it. And most of the time, when you look at some of the other ones, and I'll show these as I go through the series that I'm going to create, and obviously my original, I'm going to be looking for a new box, but this one is a good placeholder until I can get a better box. So, but yeah, you can kind of see on the box themselves the differences. So, hopefully this will help you identify. There are some dealers and sellers, and whether it's on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or even in Facebook groups, somebody will take an original Optimus Prime and stick them in this. I did see one eBay auction where the gentleman put this in a in one of these boxes, but he you know, said, hey, this is a reissue or a repro box. You know, it's great to display them. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money. If you want to, you know, repair or, you know, even just display this box here as it is on your shelf, you do what you need to do. You know, if that's what you like, I mean, that's what you like. But you know, it's unfortunate there are people out there that will try to sell these as originals or do some swapping, some part swapping. I've done it myself. I have a Mirage that I'll show later that had a, obviously, you know, it's common break for his waist to break. So I took just as an experiment to see how well it fit, and used some of these counterfeit parts and made my second one. I've got 3 now, working on my 3rd one. But I used it to repair my Mirage. So he looks great, works good, but it's mine, and I don't, you know, plan on misrepresenting him. So anyway, let's move on. Let's get this guy out of the box. So I'm gonna move him over here, and let's get him out. I'm gonna do this off camera. All right, here we go. Let's get mine out. So this is a foam I've had for a while. It's seen, obviously it has seen better days here. It's got a crack, you know, down here, and I think there's another crack somewhere, but this is an original foam that I got in a deal. So as I tried to put my Prime together, you know, I tried to get him in a box and complete. The only thing that I'm missing now is a decal sheet for this to make this 100% complete. But what you'll see on these is that the cutouts are different. You can see there's an extra hole here, and again, I'm not entirely sure what the newer foams, I mean, you can go online and see the foam, you know, for auctions and whatnot, but you can see that it's just a rectangle here, and this one has an extra cut. Here's the hole where roller goes. It looks pretty good. The other thing is where the pull, you know, the pull holes, there's one here, there's one there, you know, out here, there are, you know, areas to pull the foam, you know, out of the box. So anyway, so the only real difference otherwise is on the back. As you can see here, I think this is from shipping, where, no, it's not even that. I don't know where this came from. I thought this was where the sticker sheet and instructions went, but it's not. Also, this is a little different. You can see there's just a small slit here and 2 holes that are close, you know. This one has an extra one up there. But anyway, the biggest, you know, glaring thing that I find with this particular foam is this right here. So on an original, you will not find that. It is not there. So yeah, that is the main difference. I don't believe I've seen any. I've seen some others that have, you know, some other cutouts on the bottom that actually I think went up in here for the counterfeits, but I've not seen many of the other counterfeits or the original. Actually, excuse me, the originals that had any of this going on in it. So, but anyway, let's get them out of the box now. Or excuse me, get them out of the foam. So here's roller there. I'm going to keep these separated. I mean, it's fairly obvious when you start to look at these, the differences between the two. So, let's see here. This is the rub symbol. That's the other thing. If you look at one of these and the rub symbol just doesn't quite look right, obviously mine is a pre-rub, so it doesn't have a rub symbol on it. But it is actually a pretty good replication. Let's see if I can get it going here. Wow, it's actually not working. He worked really well the first time I tried doing this. Come on, it's supposed to rub. He is not really wanting. Maybe I wore him out already. These things actually do pretty good. Yeah, you can kind of see here. Right there he is. But yeah, see, he's already disappearing again. But yeah, so there's the rub symbol. It's always loose in those. Here is the and I know I said I was going to talk about the instructions, but this is the silver, and you can see, if you look, this is more of a chrome versus the flat gray. So this is a shiny chrome, which, you know, if they put this on that should be obviously a big tell as to what it is. Here is the decal sheet here. One thing that I'll show here in a few minutes when I get to comparing them is that these blues that you see are a different color. They look good, but they're just not right. I wouldn't mind putting like the Autobot symbols on his shoulders up here on the bot themselves. But anyway, so the first thing I wanted to show here with the books is this stuff right here. So obviously these are the right length, but cut wise, hopefully you can see that they are about a half a centimeter taller when you put them there. So the other thing is this cell, and I think that's what these things are called. These cells are they're thicker, and these are thinner. I know these came in various sizes and whatnot, and this one's obviously been bent in the box from, you know, somebody, one of the original owners. But yeah, that's the big differences between a real cell and a counterfeit. So next we're going to look at, and obviously it does not, actually what's funny is it does not come with a scan of the catalog. So here is a pre-rub 84 catalog, and that's what I do. I collect, I have the entire catalog. I have every single bot that's on this catalog. Some of them in duplicates that are all pre-rub. I have two Megatrons, one's actually a rub and one is not, and I'm hoping that I can do a Megatron review. There's one big glaring difference between an original and a counterfeit, and I need to get that one. That's probably going to be my third or fourth video, and I actually can't wait to do that. But anyway, enough of that. That is the 84 catalog. It does not come in the counterfeit. So moving on to the instruction booklet, you'll notice that on the counterfeit, this is, I don't know if you can tell, but this is grainy. The reds are not too bad. I mean, it's close, but it's not the same. They did copy a pre-rub. I don't know if they ever changed in the later releases of Prime, but this is a pre-rub, because on the newer 85 and later up here, you'll have a, you know, authenticate, you know, make sure that you have an authentic transformer product up here. They changed the graphic on these, but you'll see that roller is gray, just like this, but the scan is, you know, it's darker down there. You can see, you know, this is the original here. It's just not quite there, you know. So if you ever are out looking for manuals, the paper is different. This is a thinner paper. This one obviously has some age and it's been played with a little bit, but you know, you can tell by, you know, look at the text here. Hopefully you can see this. The text is just a little bit different. It's a different gray color. But yeah, so I mean, this is a nice book, but it's not right. That to the side, put him to the side there. All right, so let's get into the accessories real quick here. Here's Roller. Obviously, this is the one of the original ones. I was actually kind of surprised. You know, the color is a little of a deeper purple, and I believe there are 3 versions of Roller. There might be a 4th, but there's a silver one, and there's some other small differences. I really don't know what they are, but you can kind of tell by the mold inside that it's just not quite right in the seats. I don't know if you can see in the seat. Hopefully you can, but it's just not very crisp and clear on the seat part. On the back, it looks fine, but the purple is just a little bit different. You know, I mean, this probably would work in original. Other than that, underneath, the mold marks, you can see, are very, very close. On the original, you can see some like circles in the mold itself, but otherwise it's very close. I think you'd be hard pressed to tell the difference between these unless you had one sitting right next to it. So yeah, that's roller. Here are the missiles. Let me get his out. Here, I actually still have a missile that's over here beside my desk here that I have to fish out. But you can tell by this that the mold process was not very good on this. They left some flashing on it. Around the missiles themselves, they have a line, whereas on this one you cannot see. I mean, there's a little bit of a line there, but this one is plainly you can see. Maybe if you can see there's right above it there is a line of plastic on the tip and on the side that is there. So if you look at these, this is actually kind of a flatter gray, or flatter black, excuse me. It's very close. It's very, very good. Here you can tell there is a flat mold mark right there. There isn't one there. Some of the sprue is still on this one too, where somebody took it apart. But the black is just a slightly different color. And then on the back side, if you look on the back side, there are some circle mold right there. And you can see on this one there aren't any circle molds marks there from the molding process. So hopefully that helps you identify what is an authentic missile and not. I mean, these accessories are where the money is at. So there are people out there that will sell one of these as a legitimate, and spotting the difference between the two is quite difficult. So I know there's some people out there. I've got some friends who can look at an accessory from one of the G1 Transformers and tell the difference. Anyway, sorry about the technical difficulties there. My sign fell in the middle of recording. It's temporary in up here. I've got fishing line. I don't know if you can even see it, but I got fishing line up here and tape up against the wall to hold it up. I'm still kind of setting things up here, so you forgive me for that. So let's get back to the gun. So back to the gun. Here you can see that the mold, obviously, like I mentioned before, it's just not there. There's a divot right here on both sides. The colors are different. This is a more black. And if you've ever seen Father the Bride, when Martin Short's talking to Steve Martin, I think up in the attic, I think is the scene where he talks about his suit being navy blue, and somebody doesn't make a navy blue, and Steve Martin thinks it's black. Well, this by itself looks black, but when you bring the original back in, this has a more gray color to it. But you can see otherwise, I mean, mold marks are about the same on the tip. On the original, it's a little more defined. There's a little circle at the tip here. There's one there too. They are very, very close. Obviously, without the QC issues that you see here on the original, you can see in here. See if I can. Hopefully, the shine or the reflection will show that inside there is like a little square. And again, I can't make any promises about later versions of the Prime weapons or accessories. This is just what that I've gotten with my purchases. So there's some difference here. There's more of a ledge right there on the counterfeit piece there. But otherwise, I mean, yeah, they're pretty darn close. The guns are not that expensive. They're $5, and the problem is that with shipping, these things become $5-10 on these. So yeah, that's on eBay. The fists themselves, let's take a look at those. The colors, again, different color. This is a kind of a darker purple, regular purple. This is kind of a bluish purple. The stud, they're the same diameter and length. The up here, the mold, I've seen some of the counterfeit, and this is the counterfeit one. The height on the fist right here is taller on some of them, but you can just kind of see kind of see the differences in the mold. Just kind of show that a little bit here. Yeah, these are great stand-ins. You know, I wouldn't pay much for them. I mean, the fists, you know, at the current time, they're roughly, you know, $30, $25, $30 plus shipping to get a pair of these. These are not cheap. These are, you know, it's because these always get lost. You know, kids played with them in the 80s, and you know, they either stuck them in the cab to hold them, or they just flat out lost them. Talking about the gas nozzle itself, you'll notice that again, they're pretty close. There is a little ledge on the original, whereas on this one there's not. The hole in the back is bigger compared to the original. It's a different color. There is a mold circle here, and this is much bigger than the original. And again, this may be different based on a different mold from a later rub. There's been quite a few differences in the primes themselves. And again, this is another one of those easy lost accessories that are expensive. These things are, you know, $20, $15-$20 plus shipping for that. And then here's another one of the big ticket items, these hoses. When they show up on eBay and they're original, they go for quite a bit of money. You're talking 20, 25, $30, $20 plus shipping. And you can tell the original hose is a shinier black. This is a dull. It's much more pliable when you look at it. The counterfeit one has more stretch to it. This one doesn't have that stretch to it at all. So the diameter is the counterfeit one is a little bit bigger, but I mean, I think you'd be hard pressed to see that, you know, that difference in diameter when you're looking at them, unless you've got two side by side. So there's that. Don't know if I talked about the missiles. If I did, then we'll go over them again. They're very similar. This one, you can tell on the outside here, there is a line from the mold where they did it. Obviously, there's some flashing from the mold here too. Again, the colors are a little bit different, but on the back side of these, you can see down here, there is a mold circle, and then on the original, as you can see, there isn't one. There is I believe I saw it right there, there is a, line going down the, one side of it. But otherwise, they're very similar, just different colors. So it's the missiles. And then the gas pump itself here. Again, I don't know if the later versions had the vertical lines inside the box, but mine does not. But they are, this one's a little different, shade again, but they're pretty much identical except for those lines. And it, like I said, maybe in a different version they have that, but I mean they are the same for the most part, just a little bit different color, a little bit more shine. Holes are different. This one's a little bit bigger than this one. So yeah, I really hope I didn't mix mine up, but it is what it is. So I bet you I did. Figure it out later. Not worried about it. This counterfeit's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. So anyway, so yeah, let's get this stuff put away, and we'll get into the toy itself. I will eventually, put the decals on this. I'm debating on whether I want to put the auto. I've got another Prime that's for sale that I need to possibly use the rub symbol to replace one that's lost, and use the shoulder Autobot symbols for replacement. But we talked about that. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is the trailers. I want to show you. Obviously the decal isn't sticking real well on this. The color is different. As you can tell, it's a lighter blue here and a darker blue. I don't know if the other versions had a lighter color. For the most part, all the details are very, very close on it. Even on the back, there's, you know, you can go on to, there's a website out there, all the foam everywhere, sorry, that actually goes into details for the differences on all of the Prime trailers through the versions. And what you'll see when you're doing your research is, you know, they refer to the Primes by their T number. This is, the mold on this one is based on a T2, which is, I believe, a rub. But the thing that, you know, you need to look for is what is called the copyright stamp, and that's what I always look for when looking at buying a bot from somebody, whether it's on eBay or at a show or on a group or whatever. You know, I always ask for that stamp, to look at that stamp. And what you'll notice when you're comparing these is the stamps are very different. You can see here, if I can get it in focus, the stamp here, you can see it says Takara Japan. It has a date on it, and then inside is just T. So this is one of the second versions, I want to say, of Prime. The first one being the bloated what I call the circle stamp Prime, the bloated fist that doesn't have a date on it, I believe. But this one, you can see the font here. The font here is different. It says made in Japan. That is different. There's a block out of something underneath there. And it says Takara. I mean, anybody that's not educated looks at this, goes, oh yeah, look, it looks right. No, not really. It doesn't. So going inside the trailer, you'll see, I've seen one of the ones that I have that is a rub. It actually has, I believe, a 2 or a 3 here as well. If it's not here, I know it's in the trailer and they show that. I hate opening these things. These things are a giant pain in the butt. You always feel like you're going to break them. So here's inside the trailer. And you'll notice there's 3s. You know, I've seen that in there as well. There's some other mold differences between the 2 of these. So the springs actually in these launchers are actually really powerful. I actually like that about these, is that it has a original Diaclone force, you know, spring in it, where these things shoot out. They rock it out. Factory applied decal here, and I'll compare that decal there to this one. So let me open this guy up. You know, so on mine there is no number inside. Here there's no number. Yeah. Here's one of my extra missiles here. The shooter's on the side, but you know, still has some strength to it, but it's nothing like this one when it shoots. Let me show you. And I think all versions of Prime, they neutered the spring, so let me kind of show you, because this is going to shoot all the way across my thing. Yeah, see, it's a lot more powerful on it. So anyway, you'll notice that the decals inside are metallic on the original, and then on this one they're not. I don't know if there was a difference in the later ones. I never got to compare one of these to an original Prime. So something else that they've copied, that most of the radar dishes, they have a mold mark on the back. This one obviously does. So that is correct on this. The colors actually are pretty close as well. They are, you know, this is a little bit, again, of a darker purple versus the blue, but everything is very, very similar, very, very close. It's got the little thing here for accessory, where you put the accessories in. But yeah, these things are very, very close. So to kind of circle back on this, I think I've highlighted everything. The version of the Prime is what's in here. There's 6 or 7 versions of these where they changed the mold slightly, or for whatever reason they decided to change it, and they changed it. I'm fairly certain they do say Hasbro on the later ones as well. Could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's, for the most part, is the same. You know, when you look at these together, they're, you know, the actual this is different. This is a different shade of amber. It's a little brighter. This obviously is a little worn from being put, you know, in and out of the box and playing with it over the years. My decals are kind of coming off a little bit, but yeah, that is the main differences on the trailer. So I'll put these guys back. Now we're going to get into the main bot here. So here is my original Prime there. So one thing that I notice on these things do not, this bot does not, like, it does not sit flush. It always fights. The chrome is nice and shiny on it. It's not quite the same either. Obviously this has been played with, so it's not, but you can see the chrome is a little more defined, whereas they kind of globbed it in there and it made the square soft right there. But you know, they're very, very close on the mold themselves. So inside, again, just a different color of purple in there. You know, you can see inside that on this, the rivet has a hole in it. Let's see if I can get that close. I don't know if it's going to focus there, but there's a hole in the rivet. There's not one there. The reds are not the same. This is more of a darker red, like a blood red, and this is, you know, obviously a little bit different. Again, as I said before, the silver, you know, factory applied decal is not on this one. Yeah, it can be removed, but something else to note is that all primes that I've ever seen, even underneath the rub, you can kind of see an indentation where there's a screw, and on this one there is no screw. So who knows what they did? They probably just glued it. I do find that they do a lot of glue. Something that I didn't mention on the trailer is that these wheels, when they put them on, they're just loose. I mean, there is some looseness to them on the original, but not like this. They even went so far as to copy. You can actually see it a little easier. It's actually kind of lifted right there, but on the tires themselves, there's a script that says something. I believe it says, I can't read it real well. I think I can read it on this one a little easier. It's a little more defined. Anyway, it just says something 500 on there. It's on there. There's, you know, feet are still die cast on these two, but I'll go into some of the other issues that I find with these. You know, so let's get him transformed. He is actually loosening up. The more that I play with him, he makes it a lot easier to transform. But here he is, right there. Obviously, no decals yet. You know, one of the things that I look for when I'm buying a transformer is I look for wear. You know, look that it's played with. There's some chrome wear or whatever. If it looks mint, I generally, you know, question whether or not it's an authentic transformer. On the foams, you know, I make a joke that if it's cocaine white, chances are it's not legit. Not saying it's not impossible, but I just kind of question some of those things. And his right arm is always difficult. There it goes, to get out. So, little squeak. I've never cleaned this one up. Generally, I clean my transformers up, but you know, like I said, I wanted to kind of highlight. You can see the blue here compared to this. This is a metallic looking light blue. The yellow and the red are a little more muted compared to that. The other thing to note is here are the trailer like brake lights and turn signals. And you can see the black is a lot bigger on the bars than this one. Actually turn that upside down for you so you can actually see it. Right there. So the blues are a different blue. They're a lighter, very, very light pale blue inside there, and they've made them really blue here. So those are, for the most part, I mean, I can get back in the trailer, but I'd rather not to show these. But you kind of get the idea of what they did for these decals. Again, these are great if you want your Prime to have like good, see how the decals are coming off here. And there are ways that you can reattach these, and I might go through it, but you got to clean them. This Prime has some wear, you know, on it. I might try to reattach these. There's a method you can use. But moving on here, you can see there is a little bit of difference in the smokestacks. This one, you know, obviously has some wear on it. Up here on the very top of his helmet, you can see on the original that the gray paint goes all the way around. And on this guy, close up, you can see that it's just inside, and then the border out here is a blue color. His eyes are a little bit more of a muted yellow. It's not a bad head sculpt. Really, it's not. It's really close. It's just the paint just isn't the same. So yeah, there's that. I did want to highlight inside the leg. So when you're looking at a prime, all primes have a little number up in here. It's way up in there. This one has a 2 on one side, and then on the other there is a 1, and it's really hard to see up in there. And then also this little, I don't know what the function of this was in the original molds, but this is also there too. So and he does move right there. I never move him. You can see some wear on the chrome here, and how they are. There's wear there where the chrome is flaked off. But yeah, I can actually show you that too. Is that what that is? Yeah, so again, it's a pale blue on his arm, on his forearm decal. But still, I mean, good decals. They're not quite right. But yeah, as I mentioned before, this is still yellow inside. So anyway, but yeah, let's look at this guy here. He's got some mold, you know, where they molded the gas tank. There's mold marks there. The chrome is, you know, different. It's very, very close. It's a little bit, you know, rounded because of the way that they applied the chrome on it. But inside the leg, I'll show you that here. Inside the leg is what's not there. And his leg actually, it still does. Yeah, it's not the same, but it does bend. But inside there, you can see that mold inside. There's no number on either side. So yeah. And yeah, that's gonna pretty much do it. I think I've covered just about everything that I can remember off the top of my head. I did have some notes, but didn't want to just quite read them off the screen. So, but anyway, I think that is about it.